Well, in thinking of the last recording we have, then situations in our life when something happens out of the blue, a discontinuity. If it's good, we call it a miracle. If it's bad, we call it accident, catastrophe. Not something that we hopefully anticipated from the mix. It's an outside intervention that cuts across. And we may be extremely resistant to such, or we may be very open to such happening. We may be open to certain good things happening or certain bad things happening, according to the normal pattern of thinking that we've built up. This habit associations. So we're advised to have good associations, to use our consciousness to select carefully expectations of goodness, associations of goodness and rescue and blessing, and even good miracles. In other words, non-continuities with what we're anticipating and thinking, that we have a disposition to expect a miracle. A depressed person has a disposition to expect ongoing lifelessness or failure, ongoing discontinuities that are unhappy. Whereas a person who has life, fullness of life, is filled with the expectation of wonderful miracles associated with a God that is of harmony and joy and peace, goodness and integrity. You know the list. So the spiritual life is simply training our habit of mind that we draw from God, that which is wonderfully in harmony with His eternal being, that we might become a wonderful part of it, wonderful part of His family, distinct, unique, person in their own right, in a sense, but a right that is so right with God and all that He loves. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for such wonderful meta-spiritual creation, we might want to call it. For your wonderful self, Lord, and all the lovely beauty and harmony and blessing that this is. Love you, Dad. Love you, Dad. Thank you, Dad. We see then, don't we, that I could sit in quietness, if you like, looking at a flower, and I narrow my habit building down to that sort of experience. Or I could be listening to a teacher and extending my habit-forming predisposition of mind to include much of what he's talking about and the values and expectations associated in the way he's thinking and presenting. So we get the Eastern view that if you choose a good guru, it's everything. The Western view is, well, sort of Christian view is that if you're choosing God to relate to, that's everything too. All that's good and harmony and blessing. Provided your view of God is that. I mean, if your view of God is the early Hebrew, thunder god from the mountain, who's a war god and a god of judgment and genocide, your life might unfold accordingly. Oh, not good. Not something to be meditated upon from the point of view of happiness and compassion and some of the other values that you might value at present. So you have to be very aware of who you're listening to, what your company is. Whatsoever's good and lovely, think on these things, and help this greatly by selecting good company, good environments, good media, good books, good programs, if you like, good lectures, good teaching. We use ritual and repetition, mantra and songs and poems even, and sayings which start to look much like mantras. They're repeated often over longer periods of time, with big gaps between them perhaps, but we use all these ways of anchoring our predispositions to that which we see to be a blessing. And from our experience we have to revise, because some things are not a blessing. And we think, oh, I mustn't do that again. Keep away from that. So whatsoever's good and lovely. Think on these things, that you become more of that. You pull that into your association of being, who you are and your values. And you become a wonderful person, ready for heaven. Bless you. And you are blessed. Blessed because of God's loving kindness. A wonderful dad. Wonderful dad. Thank you, Heavenly Father.